Since the days of Inquisition, the Executors have been a mystery to many a Dragon Age fan. However, I've got a theory on not only who the Executors are, but also why they're here to cause trouble here in Thedas. Hello crows and non-crows alike, my name is Joe Mac, otherwise known as Support Crow, and today we are talking about who or what these mysterious Executors could be. But before we dive into these theories, let's take the Executors for who they claim to be at face value. They appear to be spies, brokers of information, fully cloaked from head to toe, and always seem to be up to some kind of unexplainable, shifty business. They are rarely put into a position where they must explain themselves and are quick to disappear after, explaining very little and often in vague nuances. For context, let's go over a few instances that stand out. In one account, two Dalish by the names of Saris and Terran discover a collapsed portion of the deep roads that seem to go under the ocean. Within, they find an Executor, draped from head to toe in robes but with an exposed, shifting arm. This Executor was hostile to the Dalish, who were able to escape. In Tevinter Night, an Inquisition spy by the name of Charter assembles a meeting of some of the world's most skilled spies to gather intel on Solus. One of these spies was an Executor, who Charter describes as having a voice that was neither male or female, young or old. In Inquisition, one of our war table missions involves a mystery where someone keeps drawing strange markings on our outposts. If you defer to Cullen, he sets up a number of decoy outposts to try and catch the culprit. When the outposts are checked up on later though, they have been abandoned, with no sign of struggle, looting, or any lead to follow. The soldiers that were stationed there straight up vanish. The Inquisitor later gets a letter from the Executors themselves, explaining that the men had given themselves of their own free will to a higher cause, and they sign off as representatives who speak on behalf of those across the sea. In Veilguard, we get as close as we ever get to the Executors, through these strange circles left in Olivan Forest, the Necropolis Halls, and the Revenant Dragon Lair in the Crossroads, each with its own cryptic message.
You return. We are content.
Why are you here? What do you want?
Not now. Not yet. We will show you soon.
This just gets weirder every time.
Fascinating. Unforeseen.
Who are you?
Must not reveal, must not alarm. Soon, though, very soon.
And last but not least, the secret ending that triggers when you find all three of these circles.
The storm quelled. The sun dimmed. The wolf defanged. At last, we have balanced. Guided. Whispered. And soon, the poisoned fruit ripens.
In the secret ending, the Executors claim to be the ones pulling on the threads in this world's most dire conflicts. The last of the Evanuras, Corypheus and the Breach, the Mage-Templar War, Loghain's betrayal of King Kaelin, and last but not least, the corruption of the Golden City. And after all of this, one question remains. Who are they? We are led to believe that the Executors are from across the sea. Across the ocean. Here's the thing though, a shadow organization telling us where they're coming from doesn't quite sound right. Instead, I believe that this is a half-truth, a assumption that has been given to us by the Executor's guiding hand, that the sea in question refers to a literal ocean. I believe the sea is actually the Fade itself. This leads to my first big theory about the Executors. They are not people pulling strings from a continent far, far away. No, the Executors are spirits, observing from the Fade, which has been inching closer and closer to the waking world with each game. Considering what we've pulled together, the possibility of the Executors being spirits seems likely. There's also a couple of other clues that suggest the Executors could be from the Fade. One being Spite's writing in Lucanus's daily notes. Within, he says, there is an infinite, there is a shelter, there is a storm outside the center. I believe the infinite is the Fade, the shelter being Thedas or the waking world, and the storm being, of course, the Executors. Then there is this interesting statement we hear from Gillenane while we're in the Fade.
What of your dreams?
A discordant refrain, and shadows, nothing more.
In our prison, there was more. I dreamed the songs of the living abyss. And now, masked eyes across the sea. A storm that drinks the sky.
If the Executors are just mortal beings pulling strings from another continent, then how could they have such an effect on Spite and Gillenane and other spirits? If the Executors are not spirits, I'll eat my tin hat. But what spirits are they? What kind of spirit could organize together and carry out these complex plans? Well, this leads us to my second theory, and the main reason for the video, if I'm being honest. If the Executors are spirits, then I believe that they consist of the severed spirits of the Tranquil. If you're new to Dragon Age, then you're probably wondering what a Tranquil is. They weren't exactly a major fixture in Veilguard. When a mage becomes dangerous or uncooperative or unwilling to undergo a magical exam called the Harrowing, they may be subjected to the Rite of Tranquility, a horrendous and painful process that severs a mage's connection from the Fade. This does strip them completely of their magic, but it also removes all emotion from the mage and makes them extremely compliant. It is speculated that Tranquil are often misused and abused due to their obedient nature. They are basically walking, talking meat sacks that will never tell their bosses no. And I'll leave the rest to your imagination. The Rite of Tranquility was greatly abused in Southern Thedas and only used in extreme cases in Northern Thedas, which is why we don't see it that much in Dragon Age the Veilguard. If we believe that severing the connection from a mage from their spirit essentially cuts the spirit and leaves them off into the Fade somewhere, then there's no telling how many Executors there could be. The official records within canon claim that the Rite of Tranquility was developed by the First Inquisition. However, there is no record of how it was discovered or developed or invented. It is just simply one of the Inquisition's many secrets. We do know that how Solus deals with the Titans is very similar to the Rite of Tranquility. At least, it produced a similar effect, which got me on this whole theory to begin with. If cutting the spirits from the Titans caused the blight, what is being created every time tranquility is being enforced? A collection of spirits with a shared suffering, power, knowledge, and motive to retaliate against the waking world. If we believe that the Rite of Tranquility has been around since at least the fall of the Teventa Magisters, then the Executors have been gathering strength, one Tranquil at a time, for over 1,000 years. How could we possibly defeat such an enemy? Are we supposed to win against an enemy like that, or is this like Noah and the Ark? The biblical flood is coming and we're just trying to figure out a way to survive. Because short of cutting away all of magic across the entire world, I'm not sure how we would handle that kind of situation. If these theories are true, then this could give the conflict of Tranquility a major resolution. Thank you for watching. Let me know who you think the Executors are down in the comments. And also be sure to stick around for my next Dragon Age theory vid. An otherworldly force requires an otherworldly protagonist, and in this theory, I think is going to blow your socks off. Until then, be safe, be well, be kind. Bye-bye.